Hi everyone, Mike Wolf here. Welcome to another edition of Entrepreneurs Making a Difference. And we always interview some amazing entrepreneurs doing amazing things in business and also helping others. That's a really kind of the common thread between the entrepreneurs that we bring on the show. And so today I'd like to welcome Carol Pilkington, who is a spiritual mentor. She works predominantly with women who are in transition and or at a crossroads in life, and people seeking deeper meaning, understanding, and purpose. And so often they've been successful making money, but they find themselves still feeling alone and unfulfilled. So welcome to the show, Carol. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really glad to be launching this with you.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So tell us a little bit more about exactly what you do. I just kind of gave a brief rundown, but go in maybe a little more detail on that.
Well, oftentimes we create this split between our everyday world and our spiritual life, and that creates an incongruity in how we be in the world. And so we get to a point in our lives where we maybe have been successful in business or career or whatever, in family and all these other areas of the outside world, but then we come to a point where something is missing deep inside that is begging to be fulfilled. And sometimes people don't understand that they're in this crossroads in life and they're wanting answers, and that's where I come in. I help them find those answers.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So how long have you been doing this for?
It's been my practice for about 13 years.
Okay, great, great. So I know that meditation is one of the things that you really promote and something that's really big with you. Can you tell us more? I'm actually I know I should be meditating, and I have a lot of my friends do, and they encourage me to do it. For whatever reason, every time I try to do it, I fall asleep, and I don't know if that's normal, but that's me. So tell me more about meditation and what are the advantages to doing it?
Well, meditation is not just a technique, but it's actually a way of being. We can be in a meditative state throughout our whole day, but to get started, people started using a technique that works for them, whether it is watching the breath or um, having a thought come in and following that thought and seeing where it leads. I teach people a couple of different techniques that they can use to gain focus and concentration and go into the deeper inquiry of a subject matter. You might have a question about something, like one question might be, who am I? A lot of people are asking that question right now. And that's a very profound and deep question to ask, and it takes a process and a while to really get to the answer. But it's not an intellectual answer. It's a really more of an experiential answer. Um, it's a direct experience of one's own true nature. And we can do that with just about any kind of question that we really want an answer to, like what is fear? And that's a form of meditation, inquiry. The actual root of meditation is the ability or the desire to inquire into or investigate into a subject matter.
Very interesting. So, what would you suggest for somebody like me who is just maybe wanting to get into meditation? I haven't been very successful at it so far. What would be a good way to get started with that?
I would say don't feel that you have to do it for a really long period of time. Some people suggest 15 to 20 minutes at a time, but if you can only do it for 5, then just do it for 5. But allow yourself to be disciplined enough to do it that 5 minutes a day or twice a day. It does take discipline, it takes a commitment, and it takes an intention to really do something like that. And as you build up, you can go 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but 5 minutes twice a day or 5 minutes a day every single day for a week, and see how that feels. You'll be amazed at what you can derive from just 5 minutes a day.
I'm gonna try that. Okay, I've been kind of putting it off because every time I do it for like one day and then it's like I kind of forget about it for a while. So I'm gonna make a point of actually doing that. So um, because one of the reasons why I want to do it is most of the people that I know that do practice that are very successful, and so I see that there seems to be a correlation when I see a lot of successful entrepreneurs and CEOs and very successful people, they tend to do it. And so do you feel that meditation itself actually helps you to be more successful? It gives you more maybe clarity? Would that be?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely provides a way to see. I think what people have a problem with is quieting the mind. They feel that immediately they're supposed to have a quiet mind the moment they do meditation. Well, it takes a long time to quiet the mind. You have to first know and understand what's in the mind to quiet the mind. And if you're not ready to go through that process, then it can be self-defeating. So it's not about pushing the thoughts away when they come in. It's about acknowledging them and then saying, and then just going back to the discipline that you're doing, whether it's watching your breath, or I give an exercise of watching the second hand on a clock. There are certain clocks out there that have a sweeping hand that just goes around but does not go the tick, 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 tick.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps a person create and form focus and concentration. And you'll find out how busy your mind really is.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even realize how busy our minds are until we do something like this.
Right, especially these days, because I think most people have very short attention spans compared to what we used to have, because things change so quickly and the way technology is, and you got email coming in here and the phone ringing over there, and just so much going on at one time, and I don't think human beings, our brains have evolved to keep up with technology.
Right, it's true.
Right. So anyway, I know another one of the things that I was reading your bio, and I know you're really into astrology. And can you tell us a little bit more about astrology and how that works and how that fits into your practice?
Yeah, astrology is one of the tools that I use to help me go a little bit deeper in understanding what a person came into this world to learn. And it also helps me in the dialogue with the client to help them understand themselves better and where they are in any given cycle. The planets are cyclical, life is cyclical, and so when we understand where we are at any given time, it helps us to better understand where we might be going and also understand the patterns. Astrology is archetypal in nature, and what I mean by that, it is kind of a mirror, if you will, of human nature and human behavior. And so when we say I'm a Taurus or I'm a Virgo or I'm an Aries, people are immediately identified with the archetype of that sign. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah, it does. Now, what if you're a Scorpio? Because that's what so I'm just kidding. We don't have to go into detail about me. Okay, very interesting. So I noticed also in your bio that you like to work with people that are in transition. And is there a reason why you specifically like to work with those, with that particular demographic of people?
Yeah, they're the ones that are at a crossroads and don't know which way to go. They've got one foot in one area and another foot in another, and it can be very disconcerting. It can be confusing and painful and create a lot of doubt as to which way they need to go or how to even navigate through those emotions that they might be going through. And I have a lot of experience in that area, so I can help a person understand what's going on and why.
Right, right. Very interesting. And I noticed also that it sounds like you work predominantly with women. Do you work with men as well, or is it all women, or?
Yeah, I actually do love to work with men. It's just that women seem to be more drawn to this kind of work, but there are men out there that love it too, and really want and are looking for the answers, but might not know where to go. So any of you guys out there,
Mhm. Yeah, there you
stay
go.
tuned and hope you're listening.
There you go. Well, I think we're going to have a few of them watching this, so we'll see what happens with that. So, do you have what's your message that if you could put a message out to the world right now, what would your message be?
My message is to let people know that they're not alone, and it's really important to begin the process of acceptance, because this is one of the biggest lessons that I learned over my lifetime in doing this work, is accepting myself and accepting things as they are. When we begin to do that process, then we can begin to accept the world as it is and others in our life as it is. We're not looking to, we don't have, we let go a little bit of the expectations, and we're not as disappointed in life. And with acceptance, we can really begin to understand the flow and be in the flow of life.
Interesting. Very, very good. Very good. So, have there been any really major influences in your life and your career? Is there anybody that you really look up to and that inspired you to get you on the path that you're on right now, or was there something that happened in your past that led you on this kind of road that you're on?
Well, some people have a calling, and I feel that I had a calling early on in my life when I was little, and I couldn't understand. This is coming from somebody that um, wanted the world to be kind and loving and caring, and I couldn't understand why they couldn't see the world through my own eyes. Talk about going through the process of acceptance. So it really was important for me to find a way not to be sad all the time. There's a philosopher and metaphysician of old that used to say that everyone has a chief feature that runs them, that that is running their life until they find out and discover what that is. Mine was a kind of melancholy, sweet sadness. And I wanted to discover what that meant. And what I realized was I couldn't accept the world as it was, that there was a lot of pain out there and anger and all these other things that we find in the world. Why couldn't they see how their way through to just be love? And that's what we ultimately are, and to live from that place. And so I had to go through a process of not only accepting myself where I am and who I am, and discover what that really meant before I could actually accept and see others for who they are and really accept them where they are. So I think that's really a very key point in one's personal evolutionary process. I
Mm-hmm.
hope I answered your question and didn't go
Yeah,
out
yeah,
on a
yeah,
tangent.
you did. Yeah, because every entrepreneur is always there's either some event that inspired them to do what they do, or in your case, it was a calling, or everybody's got kind of a different spot. Something happened in their life that led them on that path, and I'm always interested to see what's behind that because that's often really interesting.
I also had somebody, I guess I was asking long enough and hard enough that I found someone about 13 or 14 years ago that could really take me on that deeper path of understanding and take me to the next level that I needed to go in order to be where I am today.
Right, right. Were there any are there any books that really changed your life? Is there any book that you picked up one day and it really kind of changed you in a big way at all?
No, actually, what's interesting is that I have and had a teacher, I had and have a teacher that had a very eclectic training himself, and so in order not to Biblize or dogmatize any particular modality or teaching or book, because a book is full of pages with words and writing and perspectives and maybe experience from the writer, but that's not my experience. And so I was always taught that direct experience is one's only way of knowing anything. You can be inspired by a book, you can be inspired by somebody's words, but you can't have their experience. You can only have your own experience. And I've always taken that to heart. So yes, I've read a lot of different books, and I've been inspired by a lot of books, and I've learned from a lot of books. But ultimately, it's been my own direct experience that has gotten me to the next level of my own evolution. And so there are a lot of books out there that a lot of people might not even know about, and philosophers and teachers that most people wouldn't know about, like George Gurdjieff and Alfred Korzybski, and a lot of other early on 20th century, early on 1900 kind of teachers.
Now, do you yourself have you written a book or two or three?
No, not yet. Not
Okay,
even
I'm in the
one.
same boat. Don't feel bad. I'm still working on mine too.
Yeah, I
So
am.
yeah, it's a big undertaking. It's a lot more. I guess it depends. I know some people can put out books in a few days. I'm not one of them, but it is definitely a big undertaking for at least for myself. So
Yeah, it
I can
is.
relate. So so let me ask you this. I mean, our show is called Making a Difference. What's one thing that you would want to change? That you'd want to do to make a difference in the world, or have you done to make a difference in the world? What's the one biggest thing for you? What lights you up? What's your cause?
Wow.
Tough
I
question.
think, yeah, it's a big question. I think what I have discovered that I'm here to do is really help people um, who want to really evolve, to assist them to understand and know themselves in such a way that they can live from that place every single day. Um, Tom Campbell, he's a physicist, and he's a NASA physicist, and he's also written a book called My Big Toe. It's like 800 to 900 pages. And what I love about his philosophy is that we're here to become and grow up to be love. And I think when we do that, when we're in that process and that conversation, then we can really help others and be the example for others to do the same. He says that we're units of consciousness, and it's kind of like putting out a sheet, a white sheet, and you see all these bumps in the sheet, and each one of these bumps is a unit of consciousness. And so we're here to evolve not only ourselves but the larger consciousness system. So as we evolve, the larger consciousness system evolves as well. So that's really our bottom line purpose here.
Very
And so
interesting.
anything that I can do to help that along, contribute to that, that's my purpose here.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a really that is a great purpose. So as you mentioned, you've been doing this for 13 years. Have you seen a difference in the type of I guess in the people that you deal with now compared to earlier on? Do you think people's problems are getting bigger or smaller? What do you see happening?
I think that people are beginning to um, realize that something's got to give, that they can't keep doing the same things that they used to in order to get where they want to go. And so now they're starting to ask the bigger questions, the bigger and deeper questions, and looking for those answers that they kind of pushed away and didn't want to look at before. In this past couple of months, there have been so many people that I've come in contact with that have been in some kind of transition and have varying degrees of levels of pain and confusion.
Well, I think the world is changing very fast, and a lot of people are getting overwhelmed. It seems, although I think in a lot of ways now was the absolute best time to have ever in our history to be alive. In a lot of ways, there's a lot of amazing things happening. I mean, just things with technology. Both, I mean, there's good and bad things about technology. The fact we're able to have this interview, two different countries right now. Uh, this wouldn't have been possible not that many years ago. So things are getting easier, but I think people are getting more overwhelmed in some cases, and some people just feel like they're getting left behind, and the technology is just evolving so quickly. But I think also on the other hand, the good news is it seems like people are more open-minded now to things that traditionally weren't as accepted back in the past. Is that your experience? Would you
Yeah,
say?
I would. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I think technology has given us a lot of opportunities to reach out and connect on a global basis, and doing things like this is amazing. You
Very
hear that
cool.
buzz?
Yeah. So let me ask you this: if somebody wants to work with you, what's the best? How could they reach you? How could they connect with you?
They can go to my website. It's carolpilkington.com, Carol, P as in Peter, Ilkington, and they can reach out to me there. They can give me a call, 661-298-1229. I'd love to hear from
Where are
them.
you located, Carol?
I'm in Granada Hills, California,
So
in the Los
can you? I
Angeles
guess you
area.
could probably work with people from all over the place, so they don't have to be in California necessarily to work with you, though, right?
Exactly. I have clients all over the world.
Very cool. So how do you normally correspond with them? Is it over like Skype or Google Hangouts or telephone, or how do you?
Yeah, it's either on the phone, Skype. I also use a technology called Talk Fusion, which is a video conferencing and webinar program. Um, yeah, so it's any one of those three things.
Excellent, excellent. So we have to wrap this up. Are there any last words? Anything else you want to put out there to the universe and our audience and let them know?
Yeah, I want people to know that not to be afraid to reach out. Transformation doesn't happen in a vacuum, and the issues and concerns that we have are universal, and they're not just ours. So don't be afraid, reach out, whether it's to me or anybody else that you trust. Just jump in, and the sooner you jump in, the quicker you'll get to the other side. So thank
Yeah,
you.
very, very good words. And a lot of people are in our society afraid to ask for help. We're kind of brought up that we should figure these things out on our own. And I think, uh, it's great that there are people that are willing to help. And so it's just uh, don't be afraid. I think that's the main thing. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It's a game changer. And sometimes you don't have the clarity yourself, but there's other people that do, and they can see what you're missing. So.
Exactly. I am going to be starting an online community. It's going to be a spiritual mentorship program. So people that are wanting to deepen their practice and go a little bit further, they're they're able to do that. So I'm offering that as well.
Okay, and the details for that are on your website, I take it?
They can call me.
They can call you?
Haven't
Okay.
gotten the website done quite yet on that regard, but they can give me a call. I'm just kind of formulating it now. There'll be a notice going out, and probably by the end of April. I mean the end of May.
Okay, that's great. Well, thanks so much for being here with us, Carol. I appreciate you letting us interview you and all the great information, and it was really nice getting to know you a little bit better.
Thank you so much, Mike and Deb. I really appreciate the opportunity. It's been fun, and it went so fast.
I know time flies when you're having fun, right?
It does.
All right. Well, I hope you have a great night, and thanks so much. And we'll definitely we'll bring you back. We'll bring you back another time if that's okay.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
Great.
Have a
Thanks a
great
lot, Carol.
evening. Take care.
Take care. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.